What's up guys, this is Michael and this is a bespoke video talking to you today about what it's like to use widescreen games and media on an ultra-wide OLED. This in particular is the Alienware OLED, and I'm choosing this because it's one of the best case scenarios for doing this sort of thing. And to be honest, you do run into a lot of games, especially older games, and this being Elden Ring, despite being a newer game, doesn't support ultra-wide resolution, so that it is something you're going to run into. And I just sort of wanted to demonstrate to show you what that's going to look like. Now, if you're doing this on a more traditional IPS monitor, you may come across a little bit disappointed when you play a widescreen game on a 6 or 21:9 monitor like you're seeing here. And the reason for that is because the black bars on the IPS display will always glow just a little bit, and that will be a bit distracting. And when you're trying to get into a game, especially if you're playing in a dark room and you have those black bars, if they're glowing, especially if it's an uneven glow like you're likely to see in an IPS display, it's just not very enjoyable. I always find myself drifting towards the edge of the screen, and those little glowing side panels, especially if you have a local dimming display that just doesn't turn off the corners like it should. I just find myself staring at those, and it's really distracting. However, this being an OLED display, every single pixel can turn on and off individually. So when you're playing a game like this, especially in a dark room, and you have those black bars on the side, those pixels are completely off. They're black, pitch black, and honestly, they're really not even noticeable. It kind of just comes across looking like a bezel more than it does unlit pixels, and I don't even notice them. I try to look at them, I stare at them just to see if it's a little bit distracting, and on this Alienware OLED, it doesn't bother me a bit. And I've really enjoyed that about this panel, because not only do you have your ultra wide content, which looks fantastic, it gives you wider viewing angles and things. You have this more narrow content, more traditional, that you might run into. And you also have a situation where you may be playing a game and just need a little bit extra performance, and you can actually put it in a 16:9 aspect ratio, not render those extra pixels, and gain 10, 15, sometimes 20% performance just by not rendering what's extra on the side of the display. And that's fantastic, especially when you're playing a game like this where it's dark and things get really broody and you might want to turn off the lights around you. And every little frame that you can get in some games, especially on some configurations, can be really important. So yeah, 21:9 content looks fantastic. 16:9 content looks fantastic on here, and it really does come down to the benefit of having those pitch black pixels. Anytime I have a display that's just sort of glowing on the side, or there's blooming around text, anything like that really sort of bugs me, and it always distracts from the game. And a lot of times I actually find myself not playing games that are not in ultra wide content when you have panels that are prone to that sort of issue. But here, it just looks fantastic. It looks good just about no matter what you do with the content. The colors really pop. It really doesn't detract from having that newer view. You really don't notice it too much. But I have had several people asking me about that. You know, how does it look? Is it distracting? Is it just gonna stretch the image out? Is it gonna smear? None of those issues are a problem. What you may run into a little bit is YouTube that doesn't map 16:9 content properly, or even 21:9 content properly. But luckily there are extensions and mods and things that can take care of that as well. So if you are concerned about 16:9 content, or widescreen as they call it, on this monitor, I would not be. It's a fantastic experience. It looks great, plays great. I really ran into no weirdness with it. So if that's something you're concerned about, don't be. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Again, this is the Alienware QD OLED F Edition, the newer black version that doesn't have the G-Sync module, which I prefer, to be honest. But yeah, and hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any particular questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. But yeah, widescreen content on this particular ultra wide, good to go.